Yesterday we talked about slope and constant rate of change when we were given a graph or when we were given a table of values. Today we're going to continue our conversation about slope, this time when we're given 2 points or when we're given the slope and we need to find a part of one of those points. Remember that yesterday we used rise over run when we were looking at a graph of a function. And we also looked at change in y over change in x when we were given a table. And that was the change in the dependent variable over the change in the independent variable. Today what we're going to do is we're going to find slope when we're given 2 points. Now we can use any 2 points on a line to find its slope, but when we're using 2 different points, we have to make sure that we label them appropriately. Remember that ordered pairs are in the form x comma y, but when we have 2 different points, we need to distinguish between the 2 x's and the 2 y's. So we use x1, y1 for the first ordered pair and x2, y2 for the second ordered pair. Now, we have a formula to help us find the slope when we're given 2 points. The slope formula is one that you're going to have to memorize. The slope formula when you're given 2 points is y2 minus y1, or the second y minus the first y, over the second x minus the first x, x2 minus x1. We're going to practice using the slope formula today, and again, this is something that you have to memorize, so when you're working on your homework, I want the slope formula written for every single problem that you do. Okay, let's take a look at the first example. What's the slope of the line going through the points -1, 0, and 3, -2? Remember, the first x is x1, the first y is y1, the second x is x2, the second y is y2. When we want to find the slope of a line, when we're given 2 points, we're going to use the slope formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, we simply substitute the values into the slope formula. So our second y is -2 minus the first y, which is 0, over the second x, which is 3, minus the first x, which is a -1. And now we're going to clean that up a little bit, and we'll do all our mathematical calculations. -2 minus 0 in the numerator is -2. And notice in the denominator you have minus a negative, so we're going to change that to a positive. 3 plus 1 is 4. Your final answer has to be the reduced slope. So -2 over 4 reduces to -1 over 2. So the slope of the line that goes to the points -1, 0 and 3, -2 is -1/2. Remember that this top value is your change in y, or your rise, and the bottom value is your change in x, or the run. Let's take a look at another example. What's the slope of the line that passes through the point 1, 3 and 4, -1? Our first ordered pair is x1, y1, and our second ordered pair is x2, y2. When we want to find the slope of the line using 2 points, we write the slope formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And now we substitute. The second y is -1, the first y is 3, the second x is 4, and the first x is 1. We're going to clean that up a little bit. -1 minus 3 in the numerator is -4, and 4 minus 1 in the denominator is 3. So the slope of the line going through the points 1, 3, and 4, -1 is -4 over 3. All right, on the back, same type of question. Number 3, what's the slope of the line going through the points 4, -3, x1, y1, and 4, 2, x2, y2? To find the slope, we use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Our second y is 2, Our first y is negative 3, our second x is 4, and our first x is positive 4. Notice in the numerator we have minus and negative, so we're going to change that to a positive. So 2 plus 3 is 5, and in your denominator, 4 minus 4 is 0. Notice that you have a 0 in the denominator. That's not allowed. So our slope is undefined. Whenever we have division by 0, it's undefined. This means that the line is a completely vertical line. A slope of undefined means the line is completely vertical. Okay, number 4. Each pair of points lies on a line with the given slope. We need to find the missing x or y value. So they're giving me two ordered pairs, and again, the first ordered pair is x1, y1, the second ordered pair is x2, y2. But this time they're giving me the slope. Because I have two ordered pairs and the slope, I'm still going to use the slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm still going to substitute, but this time I know that my slope is 1/4. So I'm going to substitute 1/4 into my slope. y2 is what I'm looking for, minus y1, which is 4, over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 7. Now, when I have one fraction equal to one fraction, in order to solve that, I'm going to cross multiply. So I have 4 times y minus 4 equals 1 times 3 minus 7. This 4 is going to get distributed, so I'll get 4y minus 16 equals 1 times negative 4. And we'll simplify the right-hand side. 4y minus 16 equals negative 4. Now remember, our goal is to solve for y here, so we want to add 16 to both sides. We're left with 4y equals 12. Divide both sides by 4, so y is equal to 3. In number 5, we have the missing x value, which is our first x, but we're given the first y, we're given the second x, and the second y. We're also given that our slope is negative 1. Because I have two ordered pairs and the slope, I'm going to use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, I'm going to substitute what I know. So I know the slope is negative 1. I know that y2 is 6, and y1 is 5, x2 is negative 3, and x1 is what I'm looking for. Now again, I can use cross multiplication to simplify this by putting the left-hand side over 1. So when I cross multiply, I'm going to have negative 1 times negative 3 minus x equals 1 times 6 minus 5. Now on the left-hand side, you want to make sure you distribute your negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 3 is 3. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x. On the right-hand side, I have 1 times 1, which is just 1. Remember, the goal is to solve for x, so I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So x equals negative 2. Okay, number 6, same exact type of question. I'm given two ordered pairs, x1, y1. The x2 is what I'm looking for, and I know that my slope is negative 1/2. So I'm going to use my slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to substitute negative 1/2 in for the slope, negative 2 for y2, minus 9 for y1. x2 is what I'm looking for, minus negative 12 for x1. Now I'm going to clean up the right-hand side of the equation a little bit. Negative 2 minus 9 is negative 11. And minus a negative becomes x plus 12. Now again, we have one fraction equal to one fraction, so we're going to cross multiply to solve for x. We have negative 1 times x plus 12 equals 2 times negative 11. Distribute the left-hand side of your equation, so you get negative x minus 12 equals negative 22. Remember, we're solving for x, so we want to add 12 to both sides. We get negative x equals negative 10. Divide both sides by negative 1, so x is equal to positive 10. And number 7, again, we're given two ordered pairs, this time with a slope of 0. x1, y1, x2, y2, with a slope of 0. Use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Your second y is 4. Your first y is what we're looking for. Your second x is 6. And your first x is 5. This time, the slope is equal to 0. So we're going to clean up the right-hand side a little bit. We're going to say 4 minus y over 1. Now, anything over 1 is just equal to the anything. We don't have to write the over 1 part. Subtract 4 from both sides because we're solving for y. So I get negative 4 equals negative y. Be careful that you remember to bring down the negative sign. Divide by a negative 1. So y is equal to 4. For the remainder of the class, you're going to work on your homework, which is page 297, number 6, 17 through 22, 40, 42 through 47. I'm going to go over it when I come back on Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend.